Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Alexander Cappiello Show, starring me, Alexander Cappiello, on this beautiful Tuesday, December 14th, 2021. 11 days left of Christmas, everybody. So get out there to the stores, get all the shopping done. Be careful, though, because the stores will probably be packed or not, being everybody's Amazoning it these days with the great technology that we have. So whatever you do, whether you order through Amazon or you go out to the stores, just be safe, And if you're worried about what's going on with the virus, mask up if you choose to do so, and if you don't, then that's also your choice too. It's called your freedom to do whatever you like. Okay, now before we get into it, I just want to say I have some future guests, that I'm trying to book on the show. And I want to tell you a little bit about them. What I want to say is that this is a start for me that I should have really done when I was younger. Should have got into the sports business, the sports talk, radio, or some kind of sports announcing to to get in this business and do what I love to do. Unfortunately, I was dumb and I didn't do that, and it is what it is. So, but now with all the great technology that we have, good or bad, as people want to say that it could be, including myself, this does give me the platform to talk about sports and what I love to do and other things. So whatever happens. I'm going to try to, have different people on as, I hope to evolve. And look, I'm going to suck. That's just simple. I'm going to suck, and hopefully I'll get better. And whether I have 0 views or 100 billion views, it is what it is. I'm going to do what I love to do, and I'm going to continue to do it until the end. So we'll see what happens. So I just want to say the people out there who are watching and listening, I'm going to try to do everything in my power to make this a good show. Have some laughters, and have fun, and have family members on as guests, and go from there, and friends and things like that. So hopefully once this gets up and started and does pretty hopefully pretty good, and people see it and they feel like they want to be a part of it, then I'm gonna have some guests and see what happens. Hopefully I can book some of my favorite people in the world. Hopefully I can book them to come on the show sometime after the new year. And one of those people is my cousin CJ King Baracus. Here's a guy who knows all about sports, a little bit about everything, this guy. He'll be talking a lot about fantasy football and Philly sports, and also mixing a little WWE wrestling. Oh, yeah. Also, too, the great Derek Patowski, the best man at my wedding, and another cousin of mine. This guy is a Flyers guru. This guy knows all Philadelphia Flyers hockey. So we hope to have him on in the future. The great Keith Lombardo, another cousin of mine. Hey, I'm just bringing family members in. Look, that's what you have to do. And if they weren't smart Philadelphia sports people, they would not be on the Alexander Cappiello Show. That is for sure. So the great Keith Lombardo, this guy knows a lot of Phillies. This guy knows all Philly sports. The great former North Catholic track star, Ephraim Sosa. We are NC. I will try to book him on the show all the way from Magnolia, New Jersey. So hopefully, the great Ephraim Sosa can come on. This guy will talk North Catholic track. Also, he goes to all the Eagles games. He tailgates down there, and he has some of his family members also cook. at the games, and so we hope to have him on. And finally, the great Richard Cheverdone. He is a great friend of mine. 21 years I've known this guy. He has taught me a lot about sports over the last 21 years. The guy is great. He knows what he's doing as far as horse racing. He owns numerous horses. He's really killing it, and hopefully one day he'll be able to take a horse to the Kentucky Derby. He just took Sweet Wilhelmina down to Gulfstream in Florida a few weeks ago, and she won that big stakes race down there, second of the year. She's won 7 of her last 8, looking to win 8 of her last 9 coming up 2 weeks from today, the 28th, at Philly Park for the Miss Claus Stakes race, $100,000 stakes race. So let's go, Sweet Wilhelmina, and let's bring another one home. Be Filly of the Year. Female Horse of the Year. Okay, let's start this show by going over the weekend in Philly sports. We had the Sixers play Saturday night against Golden State, and they had a big win, 102-93. Embiid, 26 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. And Tobias Harris, 16, 9, and 3. Then they come back after a big one like that last night, and they end up getting destroyed by the Memphis Grizzlies by 31 points, 35 points, 126-91. Without their star, John Morant, they come up big, and without Joel Embiid, who didn't play last night, the Sixers come up small. The Sixers without Joel Embiid are a disaster waiting to happen. If this guy gets hurt, and if they don't have do a deal with Ben Simmons before that, then this team will not make the playoffs and be just a terrible team. This team, lifetime, with Ben Simmons, okay, when Joel Embiid doesn't play, is 500, 34 and 34. And, that's goes to show you what type of caliber player Ben Simmons is. He's not a superstar, but he is an all-star, and you have to get somebody back, all-star caliber players back for him. But as far as the rest of the cast, over the years, the Sixers, they go as their big man goes, and he is a disaster waiting to happen. Whether it's load management, which I think is a disgrace, around sports today, especially around the NBA. Players they don't want to play 82 games anymore. And, as far as Embiid with his injury history, he misses a lot of games. He averages about 52 to 58 games a year. So, and if you're 500 without him, that's just, for your career, that's just not good. So, you need Embiid in the lineup. You need to trade Ben Simmons. And so that's where we're at with that. At least they had a good win against a great, team in Golden State, out west. So, if you look at it, from the beginning, you could probably say, well, they would go 1-1 during that little 2-game stretch anyway. They'd lose to Golden State, and they beat Memphis. So it is what it is. Once you beat Golden State, you got to beat Memphis. You got to go 2-0. You can't go 1-1. Whether you think you're going to go 1-1 during that stretch or not. Now, we had a JVR sighting. JVR showed up this weekend for the first time all season long, and the Flyers are now 10-12 with a big sweep at a weekend. Friday, they get outplayed, outshot, 44-25, but Carter Hart stood on his head, in hockey terms. And the Flyers win that one 4-3. And then they come back and they beat the Shane Gostisbehere-led Arizona Coyotes 5-3 with 2 goals from JVR. And, so the Flyers are 10-12 right now. And, don't expect big things from them. They will be they will not be making the playoffs this season. So, just kick back and hopefully enjoy a nice pick in the upcoming 2022 draft for the Flyers, and see if they could go ahead and get some players in here, or just hopefully draft some different types of players. And we'll talk more about the Flyers when the great Derek Patowski comes in here at some point after the holidays. Last night we had a NFL Monday Night Football game. We had the Arizona Cardinals at 10-2 play the LA Rams, at 8-4. And that was one of my picks, picks of the week. 7 games I chose last week. The Thursday night game and the Monday night game will always be chosen, and then 5 games that I feel are important each week on a Sunday. Mostly, because, you got this time of the year where playoff implications can be involved for one or both of the teams that are playing. So, with that being said, I ended up going 2-5, winning the Thursday and Monday night games, and going 0 for 5, a 0, as the great Mr. Sable would say when reading test scores at North Catholic. The inimitable Mr. Capiello, 0. That's what he would do. The great Mr. Sable, legendary coach, football coach for North Catholic. I went 0 for 5 on Sunday. Now, the problem with that I have with that is that I look at some of these games that I lost. I had Cleveland in a revenge game against Baltimore. Cleveland won the game. The line was 2.5. Lamar Jackson gets hurt. They bust out to a 24-3 lead. Now, they know they're going to win the game, Cleveland. Okay, this is what I hate about teams in the NFL. They get out to this big lead, and then they play prevent defense. They don't try to score the rest of the game. They play this prevent defense. Lamar Jackson's out. Teams around the league, when that happens, they feel like, we'll coast to this win. They end up either blowing the whole game, or they end up not covering and basically looking terrible and just making fools of themselves. Why they don't continue to just play through just boggles my mind. I mean, this is a game that I'm on the right side of. It's 24-3. The line's 2.5. Cleveland's favorite. It's a revenge game for Cleveland. They're going to win the game. In my eyes, they're winning the game. And they did. But that's easy if you pick the game without the line. But you got to pick the game with the line. I mean, nobody knows that Lamar Jackson's going to go down. Okay? It is what it is, but Cleveland ends up winning the game 24-22 after blowing a 24-3 lead. Todd Hundley comes in for Baltimore as their backup and, gets a couple late scores and Cleveland decides, after halftime to come out and not play and not score. So that game ended up 24-22, so that was a loss. I had the Redskins plus 4.5 against Dallas, and there was missed opportunities in that game. They came back late, but they were never really in that game, the Redskins. And yes, I'm going to call them the Redskins every time that I talk about that team on this show, because that's what they are. They are the Washington Redskins. I don't want to hear football team. I don't want to hear some new name that that appeases the liberals. I'll say it, liberals. Okay, not all are bad, but I'm not going to get into that. They will always be the Redskins to me. Okay, and they should be to you too. Don't let what's going on with the political part of this country and sports. Don't let that affect your teams and your sports. Please don't do that. And especially your relationships. Okay, it's separate. But on this show, they're going to be called the Washington Redskins, damn it. And that's all I have to say about that. Anyway, I lost that game. I took the Raiders. It's just a stupid pick on my part. I'm a complete jackass. As Howard Eskin would say, I'm a jackass, an idiot, and a moron. As soon as they lost Ruggs, The Raiders, they picked up Jackson, Deshaun washed up Jackson, who somehow only played 3 games total in 2 years with the Eagles. May have been 4 or 5, who knows? But from what I saw, 3. And yet he's played triple that this year with, the Raiders and Rams combined. So, anyway, I thought they would, because it was a division game, yet another division game, that they would, lose, but cover the 9.5. But they decided not to show up. Got blown off the field, 48-9. Tampa, Buffalo. Buffalo's a very, very talented team coming off a tough loss at home to New England. I thought that Buffalo would, cover the points, cover the 3.5, and possibly win the game. And they had a shot, too. It went into overtime. All Tampa Bay had to do was kick the field goal, but no, Tom Brady had to be a hog and say, I'm just going to go and just score. But that's what winners do. That's what Super Bowl legends, that's what GOATs, the greatest of all time, do. They don't leave it up to the kicker most of the time. They go ahead and they try to, when it's overtime, they go ahead and they try to stuff it down your throat. Tom Brady's left it up to the kicker numerous times, but you know what I mean when I say that. I'm just bitter because I lost that game as well. That final was 33-27 Tampa. Packers, Bears. I took the Bears because of the discount double check. State Farm, Mr. Heavyweight Champion Aaron Rodgers telling Chicago in Week 4 that he owned them after he beat them yet again. Anytime Aaron Rodgers throws for 4 touchdown passes or more against Chicago, he's 7-0 against them. So, but I thought that Chicago would cover, not only because of the division game. I thought they'd have a little bulletin board material and be, a little upset. And they were for the first half. They came out and they gave everything they had in the first half. They're just not as talented, and in the second half it showed why. And, they shot their load in the first half. We'll say it here on the show. They shot their load in the first half, and they had nothing left, completely nothing in the second half. And, Green Bay had fun with them and won by 15 and covered the 12.5. So that's what happened. 0-5. Ridiculous. I suck. And I'm not afraid to say that. So with that being said, let's go on to the Eagles for this week. Big game coming up. Eagles Redskins. Eagles are -5 here at the link where they are 1-4. Redskins are banged up coming off that loss to Dallas after winning the previous 4. Here's what I have to say. This is a big game for the Eagles, and I'll tell you why. It's a big game for Jalen Hurts. Playoff implications. Right now in the NFC, you got top 7 teams. Add an extra wild card game this year, along with the extra game, and they'll probably add another wild card team next year. So it's starting to look like baseball in the NFL, which personally, I like it for the NFL. I don't like it for baseball because in baseball, one game you could have a slop team that slides in and wins. In football, that's kind of hard to do because usually the great teams will win, but it's good, it's fun, So I enjoy it. But right now the Redskins are at 6-7. They carry the 7th spot in the NFC conference. You got Green Bay, Tampa, Arizona, top 3 teams, 10-3 with the tiebreaker. If the playoffs were to start today, would go to Green Bay. Dallas sits at 9-4. So are the Rams. San Francisco at 7-6. And then you have the last spot, which we just mentioned, at the Eagles and Redskins will be playing for this week, along with the Vikings, Falcons, and Saints, all at 6-7. So 4 games left. This is a must-win. This is the biggest game of Jalen Hurts' career. Okay? All right. This will show you what kind of heart Jalen Hurts has. Washington is banged up. They have a bunch of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. They have a bunch of injuries on the offensive side of the ball, starting with their quarterback and their wide receiver. And their main running back, Gibson's banged up. He'll play. McKissick's also banged up. I mean, this is a team you're playing at home, a division opponent that is a wounded animal. You should be foaming at the mouth to stick a fork in them and just say, look, you got 2 games against them in the next 3 weeks. Okay, you got 3 games, in the next 3 weeks that you should win all 3. So, Jalen Hurts, I'm calling you out. You need to step up, and I don't want to see what I saw against Clemson in the national championship game 3 years ago, where they pulled you and put in Tua. Well, I can't pronounce his last name. I'm not even going to try. The Hawaiian kid. You're going to let that happen in a championship game, the biggest game of your college career. Okay? And I'm just supposed to sit back and say to myself, wow, this guy is, I'm confident that this guy in a big playoff implicated game is going to come in and set the world on fire. I'm not confident. So, let's see what you can do. Another big game. The pressure's on, buddy. You're in Philadelphia. You're not in Alabama. I know the pressure's tough there, but this is the pros. So, you gotta come. You gotta come and bring your A game, and you gotta show. You gotta show that you can last. In this league and be a quarterback that's gonna take a team to the playoffs. Now, I personally don't think that can happen in the long run. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback, Jalen Hurts, but I want to make the playoffs. I want to have extra football in the city. This, quite frankly, a Philadelphia team hasn't made the playoffs in a long time around here. So, with the exception for the Sixers, and if you count the second round of the playoffs, it's the playoffs, but those teams should have made the East Finals and the NBA Finals. So really, in my mind, the team hasn't really made the playoffs in around here for a few years. So, let's hope that Jalen Hurts can come through. Washington's a beat up, team that's, you shouldn't have to worry about them. You should win the next 3. You got them twice and the Giants. And you don't want it to have to come down to Dallas, in the final week of the season, because Dallas may still have something to play for. They may have, a number 1 seed in the conference to play for. They're only 1 game back. They may have the 4th seed locked up, and, they may decide not to play their starters. So, it really all depends. Or they could play their starters just to keep them. They did that a couple years ago against the Giants. They decided to play their... Sorry, I was interrupted with a call there. They decided to play their starters, Dallas, a couple years ago against the Giants. And, when the game meant nothing to Dallas, and they end up beating the Giants. And so it really all depends. When you have, games where you're trying to win down the stretch to make the playoffs, and you have to play a division opponent who has nothing left to play for, it's one of those things where, Dallas may say, you know what, we hate the Eagles just as much as they hate us. And what Nick Sirianni did wearing Dallas Sucks t-shirts and stuff, Dallas may have that 4th seed locked up or whatever seed locked up, and may decide, you know what, we're going to play our regulars and we're going to beat the piss out of the Eagles, for being jerk-offs, and doing what they did earlier in the season, with the Dallas Sucks shirts and all that crap. Yeah, look, just play the games. Don't start any trash talking bulletin board material. I know in this day and age, you really, you should be, motivated with the salaries that these guys make, and just being thankful for playing in such a great, great league, even though it's corrupt and fixed and all kinds of stuff. It's still a great league. I love it. As much as I speak negatively about it, I can't stop watching. So, look, just show up, stop the trash talk, and play, and that's it. So, I personally think that if the game means nothing for Dallas, they're going to play their regulars. And, so the Eagles better win the next 3 and then see what happens after that, with these other teams, the Vikings, Falcons, and Saints. I think the Falcons and Saints are trash. I think they're done. The Vikings are a really good 6-7 team. They really got, a a good team. Unfortunately, their kickers, killed them this season in crucial situations. Plus, Kirk Cousins is a guy. He's a guy that puts up a lot of stats, but if you need him to make a big play later on down in an important part of the game, he just doesn't come through. And he was like that with Washington as well. So, out of all those teams that between the Eagles, Redskins, Vikings, Falcons, and Saints, I think the Vikings will be the one to make the playoffs, and be that 7th seed. But we'll see what happens. I mean, the Eagles have the easier schedule out of everyone. They should win. Really, if you look at it, they should win 3 of the 4 games. That Dallas game, if it means nothing to Dallas, depending on whether, like I said earlier, if they play all their players, they should win that game too. So, but we'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting test for Hurts, though. And if the Eagles continue to run behind their best offensive line in the league, and, you stay away from turnovers. You don't let Hurts throw the ball. That's why he's not a franchise quarterback. He can't throw the ball with any accuracy, or he can't throw the ball, he doesn't have the arm strength. So he can't throw the ball down the field, for 50, 60-yard bombs. You need those big chunk plays. So that's the thing. Like, you have to win, by running the ball and do some play action. And then he's going to have to scramble. And you can't win like that in the NFL today. You got to throw the ball downfield. You do have to run, quite a bit and mix it up. But you have to, be able to throw the ball down the field. And he just isn't capable of doing that consistently. And therefore, he's not a franchise quarterback. So, you're hoping with, these upcoming picks that they can draft some great players. They need another wide receiver, as we talked about in previous shows. And they need, another linebacker or two. For some reason, they seem to neglect the linebacker position. So hopefully they can draft the necessary players and, maybe pick up another quarterback to play next year instead of Hurts. Do you draft one next year? Do you wait to the following year? And you're kind of stuck. I mean, Hurts definitely is not a franchise quarterback, in my opinion. And, so you're going to be stuck in between a 6-win team, depending on the strength of schedule, and an 8 or 9-win team, So you're kind of like at that particular area there. And, and I'm not, and neither is a lot of people that I speak with sold on, Howie Roseman, making the draft picks. He's a good draft pick guy at between 1 and 10, but anything below that is, he's terrible. And, we've seen it numerous times. So, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough, just to see, what's going to happen in the future. That's why these games and this particular game Sunday is very important for Jalen Hurts. The guy has a lot of talent, and from what I hear, he's a great guy, nice guy, spends a lot of time in the film room, first to enter the building, last to leave. So hopefully, he can come through, and win 3 or all 4 of these games and get us to the playoffs. And then maybe, improve her in the offseason. It'll be next year. It'll be a second full season, 3rd in the league, and maybe he can, make himself into a franchise quarterback. If you don't have the accuracy and you don't have the arm strength, then it's kind of tough. You can improve your accuracy. You can't improve arm strength, in my opinion. Now, I may be wrong, but it's basically, the talent that God gave you, So we'll see what happens. It's very, very important. The Todd father will be with us on Thursday, most likely, to give his evaluation and his what he thinks about what's going to happen on Sunday, and we'll go over some of his picks that he had last week. So we'll go with that. Again, we hope to get some of these future guests in here. That would be great after the new year. So again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the Alexander Capiello Show, episode 2. So thanks again. Be safe out there if you go Christmas shopping or ordering. Be safe, because anybody could come on your step and steal your stuff. So if you go out there to try to help them, or prevent them from doing it, just be safe. All right, guys, take care, and you have a great day. God bless.